Hello friends, it's your favorite procrastinator Armstrong here, and today we're gonna be working on this Jaguar JXC V12 Coupe. Yeah, just too many words for one little toy car. Yeah, but yes, this is supposed to be Wednesday video, but I'm gonna be honest, it's Thursday already, and the reason that I didn't record it on Wednesday or before Wednesday was sleep. I do not sleep very well lately, so when on Wednesday the sleep came to me, right after the work around 5 o'clock. I literally just went to bed and have the most blissful sleep of my life, I guess. Because I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I was almost rested, I would say. Yeah. So today is, of course, Thursday evening, and we're gonna be working on this little lovely boy. Yeah, so what I like about this car is the squareness of it, and of course this Jaguar, what else can I say? But this, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna add him this little lovely engine that I have here. This was printed like 3 years ago or maybe even more, but those little parts, when you 3D print them, they don't really cause troubles. They don't break into pieces. I always wonder which way this should be fitted. I think like that. Let's just try. This is gonna just go in the middle of the hood because that's what's gonna probably look the best. Of course, the hood itself isn't actually perfectly flat, so it's another little problem, but it kind of fits in here. It is almost in the middle. Yeah, first attempt, not too bad. Not too bad. Next thing, we need to cover that front window. I'm actually, very lazy today when it comes to like customizing. So I'm doing a lot of 3D printed things, and this one, yeah, in particular, you can see we did actually misprint because it is thin, it's bent, and everything. Yeah. Surprisingly, the fact that it misprint is beneficial to the build. Yeah, because it is a little bit thinner than it should be, so it have a little bit of flex in it, and that bend on the bottom actually worked perfectly for the front window. Yeah, so there we go. Sometimes, we just live with the tiny happy mistakes that happen in our lives, and we just take them, yeah, and they work. And there you go. There we have the Panzer window. Well, armored, not Panzer, but I'm not German, so I have a good excuse to misuse their words. And now we're gonna use a next misprint. Yeah, I cut this one a little bit to cover the passenger side window. I'm gonna be honest, I don't have reversed ones because I didn't bother to flip the file. I just print them all in the same way, and I print those again like a year ago. I haven't actually touched my 3D printer in like more than almost half a year. Well, now we're gonna throw some rockets, and we're gonna just toss them on the passenger side. I don't want to have them centered. I want to have them to the side. So there we go. We have the rockets, and we have next. There was another misprint which was a little bit shorter than the rest. I think that was the one. We can fit that in here. It's gonna be overlapping the doors a little bit, which is good. Oh, so sorry. Oh, I have a couple of beers today. Well, beers, ciders, and apparently the hiccup is just coming in for whatever reason. So there we go, that's the next one, and then we're gonna use a fourth one. Literally, I'm just covering this in the same kind of armor on the back window. So it's all gonna be very heavily armored. But I think that, Jaguar, they are not very well known for having weak engines, yeah? So I don't think that amount of armor would actually impede its performance. It should probably still be a very good, heavy duty car. Come on, stick to me. There we go. Now, of course, a skull ram, a little bit damaged skull ram, yeah, but that's what I had. And I'm just thinking, just cover this like that. Would that fit, or do I want to have it higher? Let's just see how it's gonna sit. It would kind of work. but it's just maybe a back. No, it have to be a front bar. I just gonna cut out the support plank that it have, and see if that's gonna work better a little bit higher on the grill. It didn't really need much, but that little bit of height, just going to the headlights really fixed the problem that I was seeing. Let's just give it a little bit of flatness, and we're gonna just stick it like that, just a little bit under the headlights. All right. Okay. And that's that's a fairly simple build so far. Yeah, that works. That's beautiful. That's what I wanted. Now I want to give it a couple of those little fuel barrels. Yeah, they are just like Warhammer barrels. They are scaled down, which surprisingly, they can work as a small Warhammer barrels as well. But I don't mind them. They are fairly good. So I want to put two of them. They are like subwoofers or something in the back. But obviously we don't gonna see that after I put the barrels. This is a first of the builds in a while that I actually use a lot of 3D parts. Well, pretty much in this case only 3D parts, 3D printed parts. But from time to time you just need to go and allow your 3D printed parts to shine and not mess about with what you want to do. So there we go, that's our two barrels put on. Just gonna put a little bit in between so they actually stick together. But there's never enough fuel in the Wastelands, yeah? And we know that Mad Max-ish stuff, is always a little bit fuel hungry, so especially Jaguars, I don't really think that they are very fuel efficient. Well, at least, the older models. I don't know about the newer ones, because every single company in the world is going for the, fuel efficiency, because that's the universal, well, it is a smart play, and, the rules for building new stuff is probably as well throwing in a better fuel efficiency. So there we go. But if you own one of those classic Jaguars, you are probably not worried about the fuel consumption, because the cars right now cost fortune. So at least the muscle cars. Just put a little bit of super glue, and there we go. It's so awesomely not symmetrical that I love it. Yeah. But we still need to add something. As you can see, I did spend a couple of minutes sitting around and picking stuff that I'm gonna use on it, because I didn't want to be unprepared. I wanted to do something a little bit, on the side where I'm gonna be just talking and building and not thinking and not messing about with parts like I do lately with that, entire Penal Legion project for the Warhammer 40k. I love building those random guys, from random pieces, but it's a little bit tiresome, to just pick them on the side and just pick the piece. It would be better if I have this a little bit more prepared, but some things are more chaotic than the others. I always find the Hot Wheels that I was building very chaotic, and I love it, because you see, I'm a problem child of finishing projects. If I don't finish something in one day, it's usually just sitting there for weeks at the time. Alright, so we have this. As you can see, this one is actually broken into pieces, and that actually works. It's add another layer of asymmetry into this entire build. I still want to add two more pieces, and those ones I don't have prepared. I want to add the door panel in here and the door panel in here, both of them made from different materials. One door panel gonna be from this diamond plate, and the other one if I find the material, because I had it like a few minutes ago. It was one of those gray, oh there it is, one of those, yeah. So one gonna go like that with the lines up, and then we have this as it should be. So now let's just try to cut this to size. I'm just looking if there is any kind of, surface that would roughly fit those doors size, and not really. Well, that would be the closest. And I don't really use the today I don't gonna be really using a ruler, but that should be roughly the height of the doors, and I can cut it to the straight line roughly. Like I said, I do suck when it comes to cutting straight lines. And then we're gonna cut roughly in here. So I don't really see where I did mark that, so let's hope that my rough estimation is close enough, and surprisingly it is. We just need to round it a little bit, and we're gonna give this a little bit more of a roundiness on the bottom, even though it's not necessary. There we go, that looks more like a wing than the doors. And we can actually cut this a little bit shorter. But in this case scenario, just gonna show the doors to us. It's gonna be another layer of just detailing. And this guy is a very heavily armored, but I think that, this is very much on the nose with the Mad Max universe, yeah. Jaguar, come on, like heavy armored, and you just add the siren on top of it, and it is a police car. I love it, yeah. And it just tooting my own horn, or whatever you want to call it. I just like the idea of this entire build. So I'm gonna cut it one piece too long, I guess, so I can have a maneuver in here. So here, yeah, that's gonna be the first line, and then I need to score it, and that's gonna be another layer of nightmare, because although it is a awesome material, because it is already texture, it is fairly thick. As you can see, it is about 1 mil, maybe even thicker, and getting, wow, actually I went right on the nose with this. So we're just gonna round the bottom of this one, and I don't gonna be doing much more, just glue it. It is very thick, so if you think, armoring on the car, yeah, it's literally thicker than this thing. So, and then of the 3D prints that I have, so it is a fairly good piece of armor if you are thinking thickness wise, because it would be like, I don't know, 4 inches of steel on top of the door, yeah, just thickness wise. All right, so I think that we have our passengers and our driver fairly secured inside. We have fairly little weapon, we have a extra engine, we have front ram, we have some extra fuel if we are playing some sort of a campaign when fuel actually matters, yeah. So I think that's a build pretty much done, and we need to black bomb it and then think about painting it. So I'm gonna be right back. I did the exact opposite of what I said I would do. Instead of black bombing it, I white bomb it. Reason why? I want to use the speed paint markers, and they require white background, yeah. So let's start. Let's just paint it with markers and have some fun with it. So first we want something metallic, and I know that I have like a silver one. No, this is a white one. Silver gonna probably look gray from the top, and I cannot even see it in here for some reason. Oh, come on. They put it somewhere like a silly goose. What's that? This one is brown. This is a ancient honey. This is a distillate brown again. I have 2 copies of those. What did they do with the metallic one? Okay, that explains a lot. I do paint some of the minis while I'm working, so I have polished silver in here. So let's put the rest of them to the side for now and do the metallics. So how do I want to do that? That's the big question as well, because there's gonna be details that I want to have in different colors. So I'm gonna take the bright red for some pieces, and we're gonna go metallic. So metallic, we're gonna go with the wheel tinnies here with the metallic, and then I can come back for the tires and, you know, paint them in a black, because I did smudge a little bit of other stuff. But you see, the thing with I was very skeptical about those paints, even though I bought a full set. I was like, how do they gonna work, you know? Would they be any good? And at the beginning I have very bad experience with them, yeah, let's be honest. Getting used to paint with something akin to a brush, which isn't really a brush and isn't really a marker, is a little bit stressful, a little bit different, yeah. And the fact that you have to, you know, sometimes just push this down and get the ink in, the paint in, it can be a little bit distracting. It's not like, you know, just grabbing some paint from your wet palette. But for while I'm working, you know, and I have like, you know, maybe 30-40 seconds in between calls in my job, they are very handy, because I don't have to wash them. I don't have to do anything. I just put the cap on and they are done. Yeah, so I would say that they are very good for someone who doesn't really have a lot of time, doesn't really have a lot of patience either. Yeah, and just want to have the colors put on the minis. And, you know, like, obviously with this you are not doing gradients, you are not doing a nice transitions. With the markers, the thing you're doing is just laying down the basic colors. You can, of course, because of the transparent nature of the paint, you can mess around it. You can put like different colors. You can do first, you know, the slop chop, yeah. And like, for example, this, you know, I want this to be a metallic, yeah. And the problem in here is white color, yeah. I need to go into every single hole to get that, and you can see that the paint didn't fully dry, so I'm catching a little bit of white on the tip of my marker. Yeah, so this is like an exception where you would actually like to have a black base to it. Yeah, and, you know, I didn't think about that, but, you know, the same with this, yeah, like you would like to dry brush this, so black base would be probably beneficial, yeah. But again, not actually 100% necessary. You can deal with it how you like it. So come on. And I'm still thinking about the main color for that car, because I'm gonna be honest, it being white wasn't a bad idea. Yeah, black wouldn't be a bad idea, because, you know, black cars are always cool. Yeah, just look at the what do you call it, the Supernatural, yeah, and they have lovely car there. I don't remember the name, the brand, but it looks good. And I know it was supposed to be a different car, but they decided, you know, before the first movie aired, to go with that one. Yeah, so a little bit of movie trivia there. And now we have our fourth piece in here. Like I said, this is a little bit tedious with it, but, you know, when you are working and like, you know, like I said, I work on phones, yeah, You don't have to constantly be 100% focused with your hands on the keyboard or whatever, yeah? You can just grab a marker while talking to people, yeah, while trying to explain to them stuff and resolve their problems, and literally just apply colors to your stuff, which that's what they are working for me, in the perfect harmony, I would say. And of course, like I said, you are not doing gradients, so it doesn't look like a dry brush, yeah? It's just a nice, solid color. What I'm gonna do, we're gonna do the back of it in black, in metal, and we're probably gonna do the front cone and the bands, and the rest gonna be red. So those two bands in here, and maybe the base as well. And of course, I'm not that good at this yet, painting with those brushes, markers. It's between brush and marker. Like I said, it's not exactly a brush, not exactly a marker. Yeah, and then the rest of it gonna go in red, the body of the rocket launchers. And definitely, as you can see, no matter what I'm doing, it is actually slower than painting with a normal brush. Yeah, so it is taking me ages. And as you can see, I just put my fingers in here, so this is the usual stuff with me. Yeah, and it requires a couple of minutes as well to dry, so. Alright, so I have this. Now we're gonna take our red color, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna paint that oh, that color isn't actually even open yet, so let's just grab a different red if I have one. Coral? No? This one, Slaughter Red, yeah. That's a proper red. As you can see, I did use and abuse this paint for a while. So now just give it a smudge of that red color for the rocket, and that little line on the back gonna be a nightmare to fill correctly. It's a color, like, painting with the numbers already at this stage. But I gonna, like I said, I actually enjoy using them, which I'm very surprised at myself at, because you know how I am with the new ideas. I'm very kind of stubborn. It took me like 5 years to actually got myself a first box of primaries marines, so yeah, I'm stubborn about new stuff. We just gotta paint this red as well. I know that I should probably paint it metallic, but those two blotches of red really help with the colors. And now we have to figure out the rest of the car, what I want to paint it in. I think that actually this Ancient Honey, it is kind of mustardy yellow. Yeah, I think that that's gonna be our body color. Yeah, let's just have a look how it's gonna turn. Yes. Yeah, I know that there's gonna be a problem because the decals, as you can see in here, the paint did already strip a little bit. Yeah, but I'm gonna try to paint it in the mustardy yellow color, and we'll see. It's probably gonna be tricky because this isn't designed for big surfaces. Yeah, it's supposed to be much smaller surfaces, and well, this is all the same with the speed paints. Whichever speed paint you're using, you're getting smudges on big flat surfaces. So it's not like I just discovered something brand new with this. But directional painting would help. And yeah, but this is gonna be a weird looking car. Oh my goodness, that painting section is much longer than I was expecting. Oh, of course. Sometimes in the cup there is a little bit of paint and then it goes on your brush. So let's go and paint this. Yep. So this is more like, instead of just pure die-cast build, it is painting with markers as well. Which is not a bad experience, just a little bit slow. Yeah. So I'm gonna be back after I have this in yellow. Okay, so I massively suck at painting in general, yeah, but we have it somewhat painted. You can see the streaks and everything. And now the last thing is the barrels and the fuel tanks that I did install. So I'm just using the Absolution Green, which is like a, if you are into 40k, Dark Angels green color equivalent. It is very good foresty deep green, which I actually really like for like my not really, well, I don't have Dark Angels, but for my Imperial Guards, yeah, for the Cadian helmets and uniforms and the weapons, it is a very good color. Like I said, works 10 times better on smaller pieces because, you know, it just works better, yeah. And I do a lot of the slap chop technique, so you know, you already have the shading, and in here in pure white, that shading is a little bit forfeited because you are using just a pure green paint, so but it's still gonna shine through eventually. So just, you know, I'm trying to cover all of the whiteness that I apply with the brush, which doesn't work very well for me. There's like holes in here, and yeah, but now to dirty this up, we can literally use the same color, yeah, add it in here, you know, and then we can add other colors. Like what do we have in here? This is a hardened leather, which is a brown color, and I have another brown color. This is a peachy flesh, but there should be something else. Sand golem, yeah. So we have like two different colors. Let me just keep the cups, you know, to the side. You can literally just grab two of those pens, yeah, and without even, you know, getting them out of your hand, you can just add the dirtiness to this. I can cover that white with the on the wheels, you know, which gonna help me, and then I can go along the edges, do smudges on it. Yeah, those little pens, I'm finding day after day, I'm finding more and more good uses for them, which is good because they were costly. They were like 150 quid for a box, and you know me, I'm a cheap guy. 150 quid, that's painful for me. But I was at my parents' house, you know, and I have nothing really good to do, so I just got those. And what is going on with this color? This is my sand golem. Like this one, from the very beginning, it have a little bit of a problem with going into the tip, so that was a little bit problematic. You can see it feels like it is dry. It isn't, but you see the tip is stuck no matter what you do with it. I'm gonna just come back to it later on. That's fine, you know, we can fix this with the hardened leather, you know, it still gives us the dirtiness that we are looking for. It helps hiding our little mistakes here and there. Yeah, like you can literally just put it in here because that's where some dirt would be collecting. Alright, and I think that's enough of this color, and I should have something orangey as well. What's that? Fire Giant Orange. Yeah, which you can see the tip is a little bit destroyed because I've been painting a lot of orange. You can just add this in here as a rust or blood. Yeah, so this gives you actually a little bit of control over what you're doing. Yeah, and you can see that this tip is well used and loved. Yeah, like I said, I did paint with it a lot. Alright, and that's it, and I just gonna go back to that green because when I was moving my fingers I did remove a lot of paint with them. As you can see, especially in between like in here, yeah, where you have like small holes, you really cannot get it in there with that. Yeah, but that's the one big flaw that I can, fault, no, problem that I can see with those paints. But here we have a Jaguar ready for a Gasland, ready for battle. Yeah, so how would that be built? A front-facing weapon. You can put anything inside because you have technically viewports everywhere. You have some sort of a side-facing rams, you have front-facing ram, and you have a boosted engine, so you can start from like second gear. Yeah, there is nothing for the defense on the back, but technically you can use those fuel tanks as a droppable mines. So yeah, but for me, it's another one, to go into the collection, and one day I'm gonna have to do the collection showcase. But this is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day and take care. Bye bye.